my monstrosity built on the bones of another monstrosity. So, what we have here is the dashboard. This is where you will go to look around at all your courses. Over here, we have a nice little filter. You can have all of your courses, which the whole site has to reload for this. I did not code that. So yeah, you have all of them, all 10 pages worth. And you can filter it to be just the volunteer ones. That way the volunteers don't have to go through page upon page upon page of things that they don't have to do. So yeah. Now, instead of all of those different conscious development, I believe was the title of the documentary, courses, they just have this. I have, of course, used the color scheme that was provided. And adding courses, not very difficult. You go into site administration. I'm unfortunately not witty enough to fill the time of the loading. You can go here to manage courses and categories, or there's add a category and add new course if you want to go straight there. Okay. Here, if you need to create a new category, say you have started doing a lot with nutrition, you put the parent category to top, unless you want subcategories, at which point this is entirely supported. But yeah, let's just say nutrition. And then you just create category. That simple. And after about 5 hours, you have your new category. To add a new course, you click on whichever category you want. You can go to child behavior management. Okay, world has not yet had the heat death. And you can see all of these. You can edit them. And this is the same screen you will go to when creating a new course, just not all the things will be filled out. You can set up a cutoff date if you want one. This start date is when it becomes available. Here you can add in a little description. I have put performed in person on all the ones that, looking at the files, said they were performed in person. I did some guesswork on a few of those, so check me if I'm wrong on some of them. Here you can add an image, and the course format. Now here, if you want any kind of file added to your course as the main thing, you do file. However, you can add it to this course description up here through this. I'm not sure if I have any files on this one. I don't think so. Nope. Nope. But yeah, if you need to add a file to this description, let's just go through my documents and we'll just add a random training. So yeah, now it'll it's fine. And we'll get to where you can see that in a moment. In fact, actually, stay on page, we need to save it. And yeah, leave page. So that was this one. So you when you click on them, rather than taking you immediately to the course, it shows this up. You can go back into that edit. You can view who's enrolled in it, or you can view the course itself. As you can see, you can then click on the link in the, actually no, this is a file that's I've added to this in particular. Let's go to one that I've added a file to the description of, just so you see how that looks. But it looks pretty much the same as that. There should be a quiz here in perhaps operations with one. There we are.
Ethan, we're coming up on time here. What's the? Do you have any other features that you wanted to cover, or is that the bulk of what you've been able to put together?
Yeah, that's the bulk of it, but you can't really think of much else. It's easy to add new things.
Great. Great, thanks.
Fairly simple and straightforward one. This.
So I'm going to set a timer for 5 minutes for questions, because we'll have to keep moving because we got the other ones coming up as well for the workforce development. So first of all, Isabel's house, what questions do you have about what he's set up so far? Anything offhand that comes to mind?
I guess just ease for the user's side. Is it just as easy to?
Just as easy. You just go in, you click on things, you click that little highlighted link that you saw with the file, and it'll get you the file.
Is there a way to track how long people are spending time on things?
I could not get that set up, unfortunately.
Okay.
That's fine. And it looked like it was Moodle Docs was being referenced. Is that the system that you're using, or
Yes,
did you use different?
I am using Moodle.
Cool.
Moodle was clearly a very ambitious project started by someone who didn't quite have the expertise to pull it off. It has a yes. It has a lot of good features, but they are all half-baked and poorly implemented.
That's fine. I appreciate all the hard work on it too.
The search tool that you showed us, is that also searchable by keyword?
No.
No? Okay.
No, you have to set up tags. I should have shown you the tags in the course
Is it
setup.
possible then?
You can add new tags, but I don't know of any keyword searches unless you manually add keywords to your courses.
Okay.
Yeah, what you do is you make tags like I had all in volunteer, and so when you are building your course, there's a tag tab at the bottom, and you can just add whatever tags you have so far created, and then that little block on the side, you can select any tag or any combination of tags.
Okay.
Any other questions?
Does it have the ability to send reminders or things like that to staff members or volunteers?
It can send reminders if you set a due date.
Okay. Is that the same for when something's completed, like if it were to send to the admin?
I think it will automatically send emails
Okay.
to the admin when things are completed, or at least the teacher associated with the course.
Okay.
Other questions? Great job, Ethan. Thank you very much.
So this is Canvas. Canvas is a learning management system used widely by Springfield Public Schools and OTC. Many of the volunteers and interns coming in will be very familiar with this system. They may curse it, but they know it. So there is a student login. It's very simple. And as a side note, this student login will also log you into the app. There is an app associated with Canvas that is free for download on iOS and Android. So this is the intern volunteer training portal from the student perspective. As a student, you log in, you see this, you see some scores you've received, and the to-do list will remind you of things you have yet to complete. So let's look at some of the assignments. So the assignments as a whole can be organized, but there is a different organization tool we have. So you can search by assignment title. Say medical, we have medical program training, there's a medical quiz. And you can search by just about anything. But modules is where you go to search by category. Say you're looking for something in the family, well you just scroll down to family, it's a little further down, right there, and there it is. And this has none of these staff assignments. This is only the volunteer assignments. The staff assignments are a different course that is not viewable by this person because they are not a staff member. So if you look at this assignment, it reads as a quiz because on a quiz, you can have a little fun feature that times them. It times how long they spend reading this. And when they're done, they click submit, and it will save that time for the instructor to view later. So in this, it will tell the student as well how much time you've spent. So they can't just go, I didn't know I spent that much time on it. You can be like, you see it. Alright, and then there are some quizzes. I added on here some quizzes for reading comprehension. to ensure that yes, they did read it, they did understand. Because I'm actually a substitute teacher. I've seen it so many times. Students will be like, "Oh, I read that." You ask them a question, they're like, "What now?" You have to remind them to actually physically read it. But the quizzes are mostly self-graded. There are a few that a staff member or supervisor would have to grade, but they're just looking over to make sure they have the right answer. And some of these assignments do have mark-offs. So in this case, the person would submit and say they have done this in person. The administrator can say, "Okay, they've done this." Click, there it is. There's a grade. That says they've completed it. And that's what all your interns and volunteers and staff can see. And these modules are set to where you have to complete everything for it to be nice to you. Now there is the administrator side, which is a lot more in-depth. This shows the intern, volunteer, and the staff training portals. Any administrator would have access to both. So let's take a look at the grades. So we see that there are currently 4 test students enrolled. Here is how you can view their grades, view some of the details, their participation, their page views, and you can see their various grades. This is where you can go in and manually input a score if you wanted to change it.
Well, that's actually in another part.
Yeah, that's right, that's in the other part. I forgot, the students can do a test score to see what they could get. And in assignments, you can go to the assignments and view. You can change all of it, you can edit all of it. Adding a new course is as easy as clicking plus and following instructions. And there's a speed grader thing, it's a very nice feature, that will tell you who's completed the assignment, how long it took, what their score is, how many attempts they've made. You can add comments. So you can say, "Hey, I noticed you didn't spend as long reading this as you should have." And that will send an email to the staff or intern volunteer. It'll automatically kick an email to them that there is a submission comment. Let's see.
Do you want to talk about the people part? Yeah?
Alright, so let's see about what it takes to add, say you've got a new hire. Well, how do you add them? You go in here, and you click plus people, you put in their email, and it will send them an invitation. They click accept, they create a login, and they will have access.
Touch up on the comment thing. By default, I don't know if like default you get comment emails or not, but you can actually go to your account and set up notifications.
Mhm.
And depending on what notifications you check, check off. Or,
Yeah, the
you'll
notification
receive
system-
emails.
Yeah, the
depending on which
notification
one.
system is very in-depth. There's all kinds of categories. Do you want to
Yeah.
receive daily or weekly or immediately? It will let you receive, for one on my Canvas account, receive weekly emails of Canvas activity. So it's who's commented on this forum board, who has graded this assignment, and it's very in-depth and it tells you a lot. Yeah, and then the final fancy part about Canvas is there is an inbox where you can send emails to your employees. You can send reminders, a general reminder saying, "Hey, get this done." You can send certain reminders to certain people saying, "Hey, I noticed you haven't completed this yet, get it done." Or, as we saw in Slack, you can send them reminders about their physicals and their fingerprinting. You can say, "Hey, make sure you get this done." And those will kick, I believe, automatic. I believe the generalized setting for emails on Canvas is an automatic kick to their email account. And they can just click the link in the email and it will take them to Canvas to view it and answer. And it's a very intuitive system. Like I said, a lot of the interns and volunteers and even staff members will be familiar with it because SPS, OTC, they all use it. It is a predominant LMS in at least the Springfield area. I know MSU and Drury use different systems, but Canvas is definitely a very popular one. It's used as far as I know someone in Oregon whose college system uses it a lot. It is a very widely used, and you can add as many administrators, as many students as you need to. And you can, so here, you have it, they cannot view the files. The employees cannot view the files, they cannot change them. So there is no risk of somebody changing something and saying, oh, it said this. No, it didn't, here's the actual one. And all of the viewing like PowerPoints, they're all in line. So they can just open up the assignment and read it. There's no downloading of anything. It's just right there in front of them. Alright, is that everything?
I think that's it. Any questions? Points?
Alright. So let's have 5 minutes for questions here. Isabel's house, what questions do you have for what they have set up here?
For the email accounts, do they have to have a specific email account or will it work with any?
Our test emails, our test accounts were all done using, I think, Gmail and
Gmail,
yeah.
OTC,
I mean, with Outlook.
Yeah.
So
and Yahoo
just
as well.
any email they have set
Yeah.
up, it'll work with. Okay.
Whatever email you invite them with is what the email they'll receive the notification on.
So it doesn't have to be a .edu or anything of that sort. It can be any email. It can even be a Hotmail if you want.
So I know you said this is on Canvas. Do you happen to know, if you don't know, that's fine, what the cost would be to use this, what's the implementation or to scale up, et cetera? Do you have any information about that?
This is currently the free for teachers version, so it's fairly scalable, and you could, it sounds like you can upgrade to Canvas. I did send them an email asking for more information, but it being the weekend, they haven't gotten back to me yet.
Okay.
And I have no doubt that as a nonprofit, we would definitely be willing to work with pricing very much. But as it stands right now, all of this is free.
On the free version, is there a limit to how many people can use it?
Is there a
I
limit?
don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't think there's a limit, so. I think the paid gets you customization of some of the styling, but in the end, you can customize the homepage entirely. I know there was mention of an IT company, someone there could create an HTML page to put in here on the homepage.
Other
So
questions?
I got one more thing to throw in. So as far as, we didn't really get to show it off, but as far as if you wanted to, copy this, I think on the instructions you said you wanted the interns and volunteers separated or something like that. So if you wanted to copy this course exactly, you could go directly into settings and you can actually export a course and basically make a blueprint of it. And so the interns and volunteers have the same exact courses without having to actually, go and re-add everything. And you can modify accordingly. And yeah, it's a really neat feature that Canvas has.
And another feature, Canvas, depending on your settings, they'll either send you the immediate daily or weekly emails even if you modify an assignment. If you add a new file, they'll be like, hey, your instructor changed this. Make sure you take a look at it. Because when you change something, they're going to be like, what changed?
And there's also an announcement system, so you could send out announcements to all the interns and volunteers. You could also schedule the announcements for a certain time. Maybe an event's coming up and you want to set a reminder.
And they'll get notified. If you can actually check them, checkbox, and they'll get notified if you do check the checkbox. So everyone will consider
And
emails.
there's even a discussions. If you wanted to open up something for everyone to say, hey, we're doing this, what are your thoughts on it? It definitely has a lot of features.
Yeah, a lot of stuff that we definitely can cover in
Sure.
10 minutes. So.
What was the most difficult part about setting up Canvas?
Getting all the content in took a little bit of time.
Yeah.
Finding Canvas could be used was also going through quite a few LMSs to see what would work.
Sure.
I guess that is a question. For content, is there a limit for, I know you guys talked about the file size.
There is a system we've used that you embed. You put it in here without uploading it. So I
That
think
really
Yeah.
got us around the file size limitations.
We basically use a third-party tool that allows you to upload the files, and then you can copy this like embedded link and then put it within the description of the assignment or quiz, whatever, and it'll just show up. You don't have to download it, like you said. It'll just be there.
they have the option to download from the embed
Yeah.
if they want to keep it for their own records, but they don't have to.
What was the system that you used to be able to embed that? Do you
We
remember?
did DocDroid.
DocDroid?
DocDroid,
Okay.
yeah.
And was there any cost associated with that? I would
Nope.
None whatsoever.
Totally free, and you get unlimited uploads. If you want to sign in and make an account, you can track your history. So it's a brilliant tool. It supports, I think, PowerPoint, text files, PDF files, Word, almost anything you can think of. I don't think it really supports videos or images, but there's so many other tools out there that
For
support.
those, you can use YouTube and upload them as a link.
Yeah.
Is there any sort of concerns or management around security of people being able to just find that content on their own? Obviously, that may not be a necessity.
We actually tested it with this quiz. He went ahead and tried to Google some of this stuff.
Mm-hmm.
He got 1 out of 3.
Okay.
So.
Yeah, well, the
Are you
search
talking
engines may not have crawled all that stuff to find into, but I'm sure.
Are
Yeah,
you talking
'cause
about for DocDroid?
Yeah, with
Oh,
DocDroid, if you have
well,
that
what I
file.
read on DocDroid is they make sure everything is not searchable unless you allow it to be searchable. Everything's initially private, but yeah, if you set it to public, it could be
Yeah.
crawled or and whatnot. But
Okay.
from what I read on the DocDroid documentation, they said that everything you create is private by default. So
Cool.
unless you share it, of course, like the embedded links.
We're at time. Do you have any final questions you want to make sure you ask?
One.
Go ahead.
You had said they could download content. Can you set that as a function, like allow it or not? Or is that just a
It's
custom?
just
That we would
within
have
the
to
embedded.
embed it a bit differently.
Oh,
so
yeah.
that
Okay.
we can't.
But as it stands, they're just downloading a copy. They
Yeah,
cannot
yeah.
re-upload it or any of that.
Yeah.
Cool.
All right. Thank you very much, Queen City Web Solutions. First off, team name.
We are Public Domain. My name is Matt. This is Austin. We're both MSU students. We had a lot of trouble getting the system to work, but after hours of frustration, we decided to go with it. And this all started coming together about 7 o'clock last night. So this is what we have done.
We had to switch servers,
Yeah.
like
Your
halfway
perseverance
through.
too. Appreciate it.
Yeah. So what you're seeing right now is the dashboard of a student that's logged in. And so this is what they're able to see. If you go over to Site Home, You can see the courses they're enrolled in, as well as all the available courses, which we haven't had time to get all of them done, but that's something that can be done
And
at a
at
later
the
time.
top, there's a search courses, so they can just type in keywords for classes that they want to look into.
Yeah, just got this keyword search.
Are they enrolled in this one?
Yeah, they're also enrolled in this one too.
So if you click on that, or click on one they're not enrolled in.
So for courses they're not enrolled in, like this child abuse and neglect, they can't view it. They have to be manually enrolled by an instructor or an administrator before they're able to see the content and what's inside of it. If we go into this one, this is one that's to be done in person, watching a video. So we have this progress checklist. This one's completed, but we have it set up to where only the teacher can check these boxes, so they can't go in there and just say they completed it and get the points for it. And over here I have the teacher view. Now that same course, they can go over to this completion, view progress, and see that this staff student has it complete, whereas this volunteer does not.
And then they can select it whenever they complete a certain.
Yeah, and this is how you select yes, they've completed it, or no, they haven't.
And that will show up on the student side as well.
Yeah, because they've not completed it. And we have a plugin that monitors course completion, and whenever a course is completed, it sends an email to the student and the instructor. But the functionality is not there right now because we don't have an SMTP server set up on our web host. But that's something that can be set up at a later time.
Yeah, there's a lot of plugins for this, a lot of customization. We didn't have enough time to work on like theming, but you can change the color with a lot of theme plugins as well.
Yep.
I'll switch to the admin to show the site administration.
Show the administration side.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Show them the login.
yeah, this login page, cool, customized with your logo. So that's a lot of fun. If we log in with a site administration account, I'll let Austin demo this.
Yeah. So with the administrator, we have some information with the site administration tab. Let's see here. So this tab over here is our plugins, and the one we were talking about with the emails is going to be called Event Trigger. And so this will just send an email to the staff when the course has been completed. But once again, we haven't set that up completely yet, but the possibility is definitely there. Maybe you want to show the roles.
So these are different roles around the website. We have your teachers, your course administration, then the student, which would be like your staff students, and then your volunteers. We started setting this up. These two are basically the same. We've started setting it up so we can have separate courses for your volunteer and your student depending on what their role is, but we ran out of time, was not able to finish that. But this basically just shows you what teachers can do, what students can do, and this is a clone of student.
We're going to go to courses and enroll students.
Yes. Enrolling students is also pretty easy. So if I go to this child abuse and neglect participants and enroll users here.
Because he's on the admin account, he's able to enroll.
Yep. And if I want to enroll them as a student, a volunteer, or a teacher, and I'll just select our staff member, and they're enrolled now. And I should better add a teacher too, because that's the other one signed in. See, now the teacher has access to this.
Yeah, if you could go back 1 second.
Wait, what?
It also shows what teacher is assigned to each course.
Yep.
And we just have teacher user as the default name.
Yeah, and we have these Word documents here. The only bad part about the Word documents and PowerPoints is that we weren't able to embed them in Moodle, so when you click on it, it just prompts you to download it and view it on your own computer.
Yeah, but with PDFs, it's just a link that it links
Right.
to.
If you get the Word documents converted or the PowerPoints converted to PDFs, it would just open up in the browser like this.
And they can't edit it or anything like that.
Nope. What else do we have? What else wanna talk about? That's about as far as we got.
That's awesome.
Cool.
Questions? Pardon me, Isabel's house, questions?
Oh, did you say that you can create new roles, or is there a set list of?
You can create roles, and that volunteer one is one we actually created. It's
Okay.
pretty easy because you can choose, I think they call it the archetype, and so you can basically clone another user's role, and instead of setting up a completely new one. And let's see if I
Then you can set permissions, grant permissions for each one depending on their role.
Does the instructor have to enroll the staff or volunteer in every single course? Or does it automatically like enroll them in the courses that we would already have in there? Does that make sense? Like with a
Based on
login?
their role?
Yeah, based on their role.
So auto enroll you're talking about?
Yeah.
No, not where it's set up right now. There might be a plugin to do that. There's actually a ton of plugins for Moodle. It's very customizable. We just figured that out. But adding users is enrolling users is not that hard. It would be nice, I know, for bulk enrollment, but
Yeah.
that's not something we have right now.
Okay. Is there a certain number of like accounts you can have, or is it,
It should be unlimited accounts, just as many as you want to create. Creating users is pretty easy.
and it can just be any email?
Yep, in email. And creating users is easy. Just create a username, they create a password, or you can generate a password, send them an email, first name, last name, email address, and then you can assign their role.
Do you happen to know offhand what the cost might be if they were to implement this?
So Moodle is free, open source, nothing to run that. We are hosting it on Google Cloud, which I believe David said was about $34 a month.
Okay.
Hosting. $24 a month.
So what were some of the, just at a real high level, was like the biggest challenge that you had? I know you said you had a lot of trouble setting it up. So if we were wanted to go into production with this, what would be something that we would need to make sure we watch out for?
Don't use Heroku for hosting.
Yeah,
They're terrible. It took us
we reached a limit before even adding anything onto it, so we kind of reached a dead
our
end.
SQL database right now before we had any files on it. And if you're using the free plan, they shut your server down every 30 minutes. You're not using it, which makes you reinstall the system. So you have to go for a paid option, Google, Amazon, something like that.
Right.
Just getting it all configured. This is our first coding experience, so PHP, this is all written in PHP. We don't know PHP. We don't know Git. We all have to learn that this weekend, so it was a huge learning curve.
Cool.
But I'm actually pretty proud of what we got whipped out, because I wasn't expecting to get this far, honestly.
Yeah.
Since Google Cloud has the $200 credits, won't this essentially be free for over a year?
Yeah, so that's how I'm running it right now. Every Google user has a free $300 in credits, and so that's how I'm hosting it, is my free 300. So for a while,
Yeah.
$2,400 a month, you can host that for a couple of years before you start paying.
I know you said this was like your first coding experience. Did you enjoy it? Like just the experience of doing all this? Do you feel like it was beneficial to your learning?
I learned this is not what I want to do. Web development is not for me.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
enjoyable. Last night when it started coming together, once we got past the initial builds and stuff, it was cool to kind of see what goes into building one of these sites. No, I'm less judgmental now about sites that are like, oh, the site looks like crap, but like somebody probably put in work for that.
We just had a lot of trouble at the beginning, just getting it started, so it was a lot of frustration, but once we got here, it was a lot better.
We're having fun by the end.
Yeah.
Any questions? Any questions?
I'm hoping I didn't miss this answer, but certifications when something has been completed, how was that handled?
So we have a plugin he showed. Whenever a course is completed, there's course completion tracking. We can't track the amount of time they spent on it right now, but when they've completed
You've got
the
the
courses,
green bar.
yes, when they have the green bar, it triggers an event that sends an email to the administrator or to whoever else you specify.
All right. Thanks, public domain. Great job.
Thank you.
I went to was the initial kickoff for Hack for Good, where all the nonprofits were pitching their ideas. And so I broke the rules a little bit. I'm not a college student. I want to focus more on the for good part than the hack part. And so this is what I came up with. What's going on with this? There you go. So my team, I've wanted it to be a little bit bigger than it was, but it didn't happen. I know we mentioned on Friday that Holly, the executive director of Isabel's house, was traveling this weekend. So I put my presentation together as a video, which is also on YouTube. Can I make it a little louder?
Your body grows bigger. Your mind gets power. It's great to learn. 'Cause knowledge is power. It's Schoolhouse Rocky with your mama bar. On your favorite Schoolhouse Rock.
Isabel's House is a 24/7, 365 crisis nursery for children in need. They challenged Hack for Good participants to build a web-based training portal to streamline volunteer training. We had 3 main goals. 1. Solve. Meet or exceed the requirements outlined by the Isabel's House team. 2. Simplify. Make it easy for volunteers to complete training anytime, anywhere, and minimize frustration for staff. 3. Sustainable. Minimize the need for complicated technical maintenance, make it easy to edit without a PhD in computer science, and save money so that resources can go to the ones needed most, the kids. Google for Nonprofits is a program to connect nonprofit organizations with the best of Google's product suite, all at no cost. Today, Isabel's House is spending thousands of dollars a year on IT services and Microsoft Office 365. That same amount of money could be used to buy over 2 tons of goldfish crackers every year. We built our training portal with Google Classroom, which effortlessly integrates with Google Drive, Calendar, Slides, and the rest of G Suite. Here's a demo of what it looks like for Isabel's House staff. And here's what it looks like for volunteers. We also created a new custom slide template so that all of the training materials share a common look and match the provided Isabel's House style guide. Volunteers submit a 1-question quiz after completing each module. In the future, this could be expanded or replaced with questions on the training materials. After completing all 12 modules, volunteers receive a printable certificate. Google Classroom is also available as a mobile app for iPhone, iPad, and on the Google Play Store for all Android devices. And everything you've seen is free for anyone with a G Suite account or even just a Gmail account. There's no need for servers, hack nights, or software engineering. Isabel's Schoolhouse and Google Classroom solve the problem, make volunteer training simpler, and won't take any money away from snacks, wipes, chicken nuggets, or shoes for Missouri children who need them. Learn more at isabelshouse.org or find them on Google.
they could continue to use Outlook or Office 365, etc. It's just that to be able to access this, they would need to create Gmail accounts or use existing Gmail accounts for their staff and the volunteers, which are free to create and use. It's just that you could also save money by switching to that if you wanted to. So you don't have to switch anything, but it is available to them. Did you add to that?
No, that's 100% correct. And everything I set up for you this weekend has its own Gmail account. So it's isabelschoolhouse@gmail.com, and then the password is the same as the Wi-Fi for here. So you can log into that today, and everything, the slide templates, the classroom, the forums, it's all just in its own account.
As far as other content besides Google Slides, how else does that work? Like if they had a video or if they had other type of documents, and just if you could speak to that just briefly.
Yeah, so there are a couple examples of YouTube videos. You can just, everything goes right inside of a classroom. I know that was one of the challenges, is that some of the videos weren't accessible. So the DVDs, those would probably need to be converted over or replaced with a digital version on Vimeo or YouTube. And that could be done, with I think it was like $20 to go from DVD to a digital version. And then some of the other, like there's some like Flash ones that weren't openable, those could also just be migrated over. And what's nice about this is because everything's in one place, like for example, if you had an issue with lice, if you went to Google Drive, because all the course room materials are there, all your documents, you can just type in lice, and then anywhere that lice is mentioned in any document will show up.
Is the time tracking available to see how long they've spent reading the materials or on the trainings?
Yeah, so I didn't focus on that for this weekend. I wanted to try to get as many of the kind of like bigger things out of the way, but I know we talked about on Saturday a little bit. Just like a kind of hacky way to do that would be when they first start having a question that says, when did you start this, and then we finish, and then after a while, then you probably see about average times for things.
If they were to update the course material, do they have a way of knowing if someone has seen it since the update or any of that?
Yeah, so if you update course material, it treats it almost like it's a new material. So like I put dates on the presentations now, so they'll have like a November 2019, and if you replace it, let's say with like a January 2020, that would show up as a new assignment, even though it's actually replacing an old one. So yes, it would notify them and count separately from what they've already done.
Is there reminders for new material?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
All that stuff's in there, and if you log in later, you can see that a little bit more detailed. But they're on both sides. It notifies, and then I know we put in some due dates, like the 90 days. So that integrates with calendar, and then also sends reminders based on things as they come up.
Questions? Becky, any questions?
And did you say there was no content size limit? Like, can you upload, no problem uploading all of their?
There are no limits on anything. So you can have unlimited users, unlimited files, and then really like anything that you would want embedded right inside of the classroom. So you don't have to download anything or go to other sites or use some kind of like conversion. It's all in Drive or Classroom, which are both kind of like intertwined.
Thanks, Dan.